It's Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Time for you to expect something wonderful.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Mark Husson. This is Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you, Jay. Jay's affirming me that we can hear the music, and so you can hear me. We're being super careful these days. And this is a beautiful Monday, September 18th, and 2023, and it is about 1 minute after 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, just a little after 11 on the East Coast. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm welcome everybody to come. If you're new to the show, or if you're just haven't done it in a while, you can meet us in the chat room on Facebook. It's kind of a private room. You have to be accepted, but if you've been accepted before, we're waiting to see you. If you haven't, they'll just ask you to send us a note, and it'll do it for you automatically. But if you can do it, go over to 12radio.com, get that left-hand column, click the word chat on the left-hand column, and it will literally catapult you into the Facebook chat room. I'm doing it with myself as I'm telling you, and you'll see my banner when you come to the room if you scroll down just a little bit. And you actually, there's a couple people in here already, such as the resident Virgo, Tiffany. Tiffany, I hope you had a great birthday. Happy birthday to you. Lynn, thank you for being here so much. Tiffany is like, greetings and love from the other side of 50. You know, the thing about Virgos, you guys always look great. Age means nothing to you, and the Gemini counterparts, both ruled by Mercury. And while we're on the subject of birthdays, I want to send a very special birthday greeting to a dear friend, brilliant woman. I like to think of her, I've known her for years, and I watch her progression. She's a lawyer. She's brilliant. She has this amazing sense of humor. A lot of you got to meet her when she came to visit this summer with my dear friend, Jeannie. Jennifer Powell, thank you for being here, and happy birthday to you. I just love celebrating birthdays with you, Virgos, because, you know, you guys have a way of torturing yourselves that sometimes it's nice for people to show you the love and the appreciation of who you are. And Jennifer has gotten us out of some crazy binds. I even called her when one of my friends in another state from me and her was having trouble, and she immediately knew what to do, where to look, what to do, who to refer us to. She's one of those Virgos that will help you. So I'm giving her special love today. Happy birthday, Jennifer. Thanks for all you do on behalf of all the people that you do love and support. I know that's true for a lot of you Virgos too. And you know what, you Virgos, this is your last week. If we have not said happy birthday to you and it is your birthday week, we are extraordinarily negligent. And I want to apologize in advance, because this Friday, the sun goes into Libra. Now, if you've been following, hi, Julie Miller, and hi, Nadine. I had to throw that out there, you guys. I mean, the comments are coming in faster than I'm able to refresh. Denise is in the house. Thank you. Grateful to have you here, Denise. Mary Jean, Pisces, resident Pisces. Good to see you. Nancy, thank you for coming. Karen's in the house, another Virgo. Tomorrow is my annual day of recognition. Happy birthday, Karen. I'd like to file a no contact order against AARP. That's the other thing about you Virgos and your humor. It is so underappreciated in so many ways, but I get you. Hi, Jan. Welcome. Geraldine, thank you so much. It's so good to have you in the room too. Thank you. Okay. So this Friday, and I did a chart. I sent a chart. And if you're not on my mailing list, please do get on my mailing list. You just go to 12house.com, 12house.com, click the button. You know, I can't imagine why people would get annoyed at having a little visit from us 2 or 3 times a week to say what's going on. It's like, thank you for doing and subscribing. That's how we let you know what's going on. So I do appreciate it so much. But I did send a chart out, and in the chart, it's telling us that September 22nd at 11:50 p.m. Pacific. Now, that's why a lot of your calendars, because a lot of you on the East Coast are going to be seeing us seeing your calendar say it's the first day of autumn on Saturday, which it is literally for you. Because see, astrologically, this astrology is based on the tropical, it's called tropical astrology. It was based on our perception of what the planets are doing, which makes so much sense. Really, it does, because it looks like the sun is rotating around us, right? So we put the sun in the chart as a planet rotating around us. And we're using all of this stuff as a metaphor to help us understand our motives. Okay. So each moment in time has a quality to it that lasts for the entire lifespan of that thing that is in that moment. So when you take your first breath, that quality of time, the quality in that moment in time stays with you forever. That's your birth chart. Now we play with it. We evolve it. We add asteroids to it. It's fun. It's fun. And some of it really is illuminating to our path, and so I stopped at the 10 planets in Chiron, the nodes I include. Sometimes it's fun to see the asteroids. The asteroids are not only fun, they're actually very powerful if you want to take the time to study them and know them. Occasionally I'll throw one in, as Chiron's an example. Juno is an example. A lot of people are very big, and I'm not disqualifying it. I just never wanted to take the time to dive in that deeply to asteroids, even though I took several classes on it. It's really fun to get the basics of astrology, and then you can play however you want. Get the basics. Know why a planet is in your second house. Like, why? Because your chart is divided into these pieces of pie. That piece of pie without any of the planets that you have based on your time of birth is your map. And then it tells us the degrees and where planets were. So if you have Virgo in the fourth house, we know that most of the Virgo planets are going to land around that area. Okay. So when we look at the chart, when the sun goes into Libra my whole point in this monologue was to get you to understand that when it is the first of a season, it's like if you wonder when the first of Aries is, just go to the calendar in the future and you'll see the first minute of spring. It'll be in every calendar, first day of spring, and that will be the first day of Aries. They're always the same. So the autumnal equinox is, and the word equinox, I want you to understand this, when you hear vernal equinox or the autumnal equinox, vernal means green. That's the spring equinox. Why? Equal day and night. It's the moment when night and day are the same number of hours in the day, same number of hours of daylight, same number of hours of darkness. Okay. And so we're split in half. And the good news about that is, for many of us, is we're getting to a time when we get that hour back on daylight savings time. No, not that. It means that after Saturday morning for the East Coast and Friday night late for the Pacific, we're going to have the longest, like the days start getting shorter and the night starts getting longer. Now, I'm a big autumn fan. Everything about autumn is insanely cool to me. The weather, those cool mornings, so I still get to use my blankets to sleep, but I get to wake up to brisk and warmer day. Oh my God, the weather's near perfect here in Colorado. For me, it's near perfect. It's chilly in the morning. I love my chilly mornings. I do. Who wants that sweaty moisture air in the morning? And it's one of the reasons I can't leave Colorado. You know, this is so silly. When you list of things, what are you giving up? The weather is the number one. Now, people say, it's too damn cold. Yeah, that's what we want you to believe. But the sun literally is out more than it is in Colorado. It's crazy. And wherever the sun is, it warms you up. Now, two, no moisture. So there's very little humidity. It's a desert. So, you know, I don't have to wrap my food because it's fresh the next day. No, that's not the reason. But it's true. It's true. Less moisture in the air. And guess what else? Very few bugs. It's like there are not these monstrous bugs that scare the hell out of you in Colorado. There aren't. You can find them but the higher elevation, sort of mitigates that. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, I didn't mean to turn this into a travelogue on Colorado, but come visit. Okay. Now autumn. So that's autumn, and it's happening Saturday. And that means we're leaving Virgo and we're entering this sort of next phase of the cycle of our lives, which is the autumn cycle. It's sort of like the beginning of the end. Now it is the end of summer. And that sign of Libra that we see sort of hanging over us, I thought it would be helpful for us to understand. I've been doing a lot of reading about for the Oracle, and I was asked to do a Love Scopes Oracle for those of you that weren't aware of that. And it's just not, it's something you want to do research on. You want to refresh your brain on all that's going on. And in the process of doing that, I remember so much about astrology that's so vital. And I want to talk to you about Libra. I do, but I also want to talk to you about some of this carryover of the retrogrades that's been happening that a lot of you are feeling. Now, Venus is still in Leo. So a lot of you are starting to get the recognition again that you deserve. A lot of you are feeling during that Venus retrograde, how many of you went into a cycle of like, just, I don't know, a minor depression? Like, what's the point of this? Or I'm not feeling very perky, and we blame it on the retrogrades and sort of pass it off. But the power of the retrograde is the distance it gives us between our identification of something that we are and that the actual something that we are. So in other words, we identify with wherever our focus of attention goes. If I'm going to focus on my flaws or the flaws of you, I'll do that a little more like willingly under a retrograde, because that stuff is coming in close to my shadow, right? I'm starting to look inward, and in being afraid of that, for most of us, looking at our shadow, the reason it's called a shadow is we can't see it. The reason it's called projection is because we can't tell we're doing it. So if somebody says, "Oh, I'm just projecting," it's like, you really don't get how much you are projecting, because it's seriously intense. We're afraid of it. Why would we throw it off on somebody else? Why would we look at somebody else through a lens of prejudice? Prejudice in the sense of, I've prejudged you, and you already remind me of my grandmother's mean, evil twin sister, and I don't like you. I don't like the energy. And so we assume so much about people because based on we all know that. But even deeper than that, what we're afraid of and what we project are these parts of us that terrified us in some way. And those parts, some of them are beautiful. And I'm not just meaning that. You might have been raised in a family or brought up in a family or by somebody or got hurt by somebody who was extraordinarily jealous or had a shadow cast on you about this amazing talent that you have, this amazing gift that you are. I remember my uncle when I was young told me, don't be embarrassed, you're tone deaf. I knew I wasn't. I knew I had a really good singing voice, but he was playing a song. He used to do these little folk songs, and he loved doing harmonies with my older sister. And I loved being able to sing the words and his way of shutting me up was to say, you know what, don't be embarrassed, but you are not on key. And I might not have been with them because, they were definitely harmonizing and doing all that, but I knew. But I also knew the message from him was, don't insert yourself here. It's not harmonious, let's say. Now that's a small example of then somebody might take that and decide the rest of their life based on it, or bury that part of themselves so that they are shy or that they never speak up and so whenever I'd go to insert myself into a conversation or situation, I remember that being traumatic for me. And I remember that sort of trauma. It's less of a shadow because I remember it, but let's say I didn't remember it and I don't know why I've got this shyness. Like we talked about the inheritance of the parents, which we will do more of. So my point is, when you think you know yourself, you got to give yourself the idea that you don't. We really don't know what's motivating us and why we do the things we do, always. But introspection does help. Okay, now, I had a conversation this morning with a friend, who was talking about his family. And he was talking about how he needs to have a talk with his brother because his brother's really doing this whole thing wrong with his family. And it was the first time in my life that I really got the privilege family thinks they have to insert themselves into the lives of other family members. And then I thought about friendships and how many times I've inserted myself into the lives of friends who maybe did or didn't want that help, but thought it was my right and my duty and my privilege. And it was so illuminating, and I just was so excited to share it with you. And this is an example of sort of like coming out of that Mercury and Virgo retrograde, that I saw we do kind of we give ourselves the right to insert. And people take that right to insert their opinion, whether you wanted it or not. Like the brother in question is 60 years old, and they want to have a talk with him about how he's not doing his family, like it's not good for the family. Now, maybe an intervention needs to be done. It's none of my business. It was just so interesting to see how aware I was of how odd that is, and how I used to not think it was odd. I used to think that's what families do, or that's what you're supposed to do. You insert yourself in there. And then I guess because of the absence of the insertion in my life of that, I was actually like, it caught me off guard how much I reacted to that. I didn't react in a bad, I laughed and I said, it's funny. And I'm telling him what I told you guys, that we feel so privileged to be able to do that. But it's not like, what's going to change if you just have this chat of your opinion about somebody's life? And it comes down to this, you guys. It comes down to do me a favor and stand behind your decisions in life. It's like your soul guidance, your wisdom, the way we try to unravel toward happiness, because that's what we're trying to do, even though we fail miserably at it sometimes. I think the simple goal with all this self-help stuff and all the spiritual leaders and all the advice you might listen to, including this show, is in the hopes that we can remove a little bit of the burden that you carry around yourself. The sense of not being okay. The sense of, if I could just win the not having to be talked to privilege because people approve of me. Or if I could just lift this little thing of darkness that holds me on. Or if I could just not feel bad about this thing that somebody wants me to feel bad about. When you make choices, it'd be so nice to be able to stand behind them. It would be so nice to be able to just stand firm. I made that decision. I can't possibly know less than I know now. So in other words, the decision you're making right now is based on whatever you believe to be the most you have available to you. And you make a decision. The commitment inside of that is to make a promise to yourself that no matter what, you will stand beside that decision and you will hold the hand of the part of you that could get beat up if the outcome isn't that good, but you stand beside your decision. Woe is me, mea culpas, any way you want to look at it, do nothing but make you feel that you're getting rightfully punished for a decision that you're not feeling good about. Doesn't do anything. Decision's been made. And your unwillingness to stand behind it is the mea culpa. Okay, that's your fault. That's your sin. Not the decision you made, but the inability to stand behind it, even compassionately, even when you see the decision would be made differently based on what you know. You didn't maybe know those things when you made it, or maybe you did. Maybe you knew this was going to crash. Maybe you knew this was going to be the outcome. And maybe it's the best thing that could ever happen, and it's the worst thing in the moment. So, really important to do during the outcome coming out of a retrograde, Mercury in Virgo, which can see all the flaws. It's seeing the flaws is beautiful. That's what we do. People go, I'm not going to judge anybody. That's BS, right? That's what we do. We judge. That's what we do. That's how we evaluate whether or not this is a good decision or a bad decision. To say I like chocolate, not vanilla, as an ice cream choice is simply a preference. But you, at some point, the judgment comes in when then you have an opinion about chocolate, and then it goes into da da da. But you're going to do it, and you probably already did it. But to say I'm never going to judge is kind of silly. But to say I'm not going to, I can look at those judgments and not act on them. I can see how my mind does I can see how the mind does this amazing wraparound to protect you. But the truth is, you're going to judge, and that's what we do. So with this Mercury and Virgo moment, I want you to use this as an opportunity to pick apart whatever you want to pick apart. Just don't identify with it. Just don't okay, yeah, that's true. This doesn't look good. This, I don't like how I look, or I don't, whatever it is, the critic that goes, but undoing that in a way that's like, yeah, look at that critical mind. That's my buddy on my shoulder, always there, and slowly separating from identifying with it. And at the same time, that critic is the one that goes, I don't know why we made that decision. That was the worst decision we ever made. What are we going to do? Da, 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 da. And it's like, you can still say hi to that part of your voice and still protect the part of you that made that choice in a loving, in the best way you knew how to make it. Whether it was loving or not, it doesn't matter. That's another judgment. So we got to work on that. And that's where Libra comes in. And I want to talk to you about, so see, we get this sort of sifting of the grains of sand in Virgo. We get this, time when we discern everything. And that's what Virgo can do. Virgo can see this is grain of sand is different from this one. And that's minutia, and they can sort through that. You guys are amazing at that. And I don't even think you know how much you guys can do that. And the part of us that's also Virgo, the part of me that has Jupiter in Virgo, I mean, I went out to do this. There's this patch of trees that I think look like Halloween. They're scary as hell. And I went out and with these titanium scissors, like shears, big things, hedge clippers kind of thing. And I started going into that jungle and started cutting off the dead branches, which was horrifying for me to do. I've talked about my art. This is a different one than the one I'm having done. This was another little patch. But I'm in there and I can see John's like, what is what's moving you here? What is this? And I knew it was like this thing, and I feel like Virgos do this. It's this thing that's like, I don't know, but it's not right. Something's just ugly about that. And I want to bring some light into it. As I was cutting these dead branches, I could see rays of light coming in, and I could see the texture and the look and the lightness in front of the house change. And it felt really good, but I could never tell you why, but I had to go in there and do it. So that, I think, is sometimes we can do that with our decisions that we make with being too critical. And sometimes it helps to stop and say, do you know why you want to do this? No, I really don't, but I'm going to. And that's fine. You stopped and asked. As we get into Libra and we're leaving this sort of grains of sand sorting, we start seeing something different occur. We're leaving the earthy realm. We're leaving the realm of what's tangible and physical. And we're starting to enter this sort of airy realm again. It's now aggressive air. It's cardinal. It's the beginning of a season. And in that aggressive air is a pursuit. And I think you all are going to feel it. I think Mars is in Libra right now. So many of you have started, but it's a pursuit of an ideal. And that's Libra's thing. So let's talk a little bit about Libra. Libra is the opposite sign of Aries. So Aries brings in spring, Libra, and that's fire. And Libra brings in air, autumn. And that is the mental ability to look at things through a Venusian light, like a Venus light of love and pretty and harmony and balance, the scales, right? But the scales have an interesting story behind them. There's so many tales in mythology. I've always talked to you about Paris and the apple, where mortal Paris was given an apple, a golden apple, and he was told by Zeus to go pick up the most beautiful of the goddess, give it to the most beautiful goddess. Now, Paris knew it was a trick, that there's no way of getting out of this alive. No way. Because whoever he gives the apple to, that goddess will be amazing and happy and proud, and the other two will go work on his demise, right? Because they were not as beautiful as the other ones. So you're offending them. But he was forced to make the choice. He wasn't allowed to divide it into three. He was forced. Now, this, as an aside note, attributes why Libras can never make decisions. If you ever know anybody with a Libra moon, Libra sun, Libra rising, they have the worst time making a choice especially if the choice is going to, an important one, like a menu item on a menu item, right, at a restaurant, which I'm watching The Bear, and it finally has evolved into this incredible storytelling. Season 2, if you haven't seen The Bear, it's all about restaurants, with some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life, including Jamie Lee Curtis in a couple of the episodes. There's so many. There's a scene at dinner. There's so many actors that are famous and big and wild, and it's Chaos City. It's amazing. So anyway, the plug for The Bear, which is I just finished last night. Extraordinary. If you can get through some of the beginning episodes which aren't making sense and maybe don't hook you in, it unfolds powerfully. Okay, so now we have, that aside, Libra moon, Libra rising, Libra sun. You guys, I thought of The Bear with the menu thing, have this thing about balancing what it is that's real. Now, remember, here's Paris. Paris has to give it to, and each of the goddesses promised him something different. Who did he give the apple to? Did he give the apple to the most beautiful goddess? No. He gave the apple to the one who promised him what he wanted most, which was love and a beautiful wife. And so the other two do go work on his demise, and poor Paris doesn't turn out great. Now, there's another story that involves a young mortal. I believe she was mortal. She might have been half. A lot. They work with demigods a lot, but her name, I think I still have it here. I think it was Trias. But she was a friend of Hera's. Here, yeah, it's Tiresias. Okay, I'll let you all figure it out. It's a guy, and Hera liked him, and he's given a chance Hera brought him into her garden and said, hey, I'm going to give you a chance to watch the miracle of two serpents coupling, okay, and in her sacred garden. And so these two serpents, they're making love, I guess. One's a male, one's female. And Hera was like, he asked, so I'll see. He asked the goddess, I'm reading a little bit of this. He asked the goddess, which of them experiences the greater pleasure, the male or the female? And she can't answer. So she grants him the boon of spending part of his life as a man and part of his life as a woman, so he can experience both. At the end of the period of this initiation, he returns to his male form and is called before Zeus and Hera and asked which experience was greater, pleasure, the male or the female. First, he tries diplomacy. So here again, we see the Libra choice in mythology, right? So he is nervous about it, and he decides just to tell the truth. And he says, well, literally, it's the female who enjoys more pleasure. And Zeus was furious. So, he strikes him blind. So he turns him blind, right? This is blind justice. So now blindness in Greek myth is often a symbol for inner sight. All great prophets and bards are generally represented as blind. Oedipus, when he makes a great discovery about his origins, strikes himself blind so that he can now see inwardly. So this guy that Hera took under her wing and that Zeus smited, the result of his experiences is that now he has an inner sight and becomes a prophet. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Libra blindness. If you've ever been with a Libra, if you know this Libra part of you, you see neutrality in everything. You see, you can see the other side of anything you want. Most Libras will try to see the good in you because Libras don't want to be seen as the troublemaker or be seen in an ill light. Where that happens what happens then is that there's the shadow that's cast that now Libra might be willing to charm you a little bit to get you to stop, to get you to like them, but not telling you exactly the truth so that they aren't held as bad in your eyes, because it's very important often to a Libra. Now, you'll have Libras who don't care, that hold themselves high. Usually we'll see it in the moon signs, the ones who try to balance and be fair and tell you nice things. So, because they can't They don't like the conflict. That's where the shadow went. And so, but what they end up doing is everybody thinks that person is on their side. And so they live that life. So a lot of people will look at Libras as being disingenuous. A lot of people see the flattery and the compliments as a form of them lying or protecting themselves. And some of it's very unconscious, but what you'll often see in Libra is they are nice and they have a charm that they are seeing something truly good in you. And that part is true. They're not lying. They see it. And I watch it in John all the time when people love him because he does genuinely have the ability to see the little gold in you, no matter how ugly the rest of it is. He can see that little gold gem, and his gift is to bring it forward and to really only see that. So sometimes he forgets why I'm seeing Mr. Scorpio moon, why I'm seeing all this trash in people. And it just doesn't occur to him because he's not looking there. And I'm not looking for the gold, right? Scorpio, we'll talk about that next season, 30 days. So what you have in Libra, and the part of your chart that is ruled by Libra, is this desire to keep things beautiful, keep them kind, to keep them wholesome, but also you have there's a part of you that sees the truth, the blind, that sees an objective truth here. And we balance and we fight with that. So you'll see Libra. That's why I remember I've told you so many stories about Louise Hay. When we would hang out and I would say, Louise, why can't I get you angry about this? And she said, one of us angry is enough. You could see the scales. And then it became a game. If you press hard on the scale, like I would tease John to say, if I want John to like something, I have to pretend that I hate it. And if you have a Libra friend and you try it, it's freaky how real that is. It's freaky how real when you say, nah, I'm not sure I like that one, that they find like, I love it. No, I love this. And it's like, okay, well, good. I know you're going to eat that. So we'll leave that be. A horrible thing to say, really, but a good thing to know if you're in relationship with a Libra. And you notice that, especially if you're in young love, if you're young and you're dating a Libra, it's really important to make sure you know that they're charming everybody. Okay, they're charming everybody. How you will make the difference is in staying true to your own person. And we'll have more talks about this, but it's very important to remember this Libra side of ourselves, where you're seeing the good. You have a choice to see the good. And people tend to like you. They want to believe that your support is true and good, but these are scales, perfectly balanced scales. So Libra can't completely devote. They think they can, but they have a hard time completely devoting blindly to one without having a balance of something else going on in their lives that brings it into balance. So let me see how y'all are doing, and I'll check on you. And thank you. Okay, I'm hitting refresh. I'm sorry, I hate these moments when I take but I want to see what y'all are up to and what you're saying. Lynn Goldberg, did I shout out to you? I hope I did, because it's always good to see you. Alicia, thank you. They're singing happy birthday to you guys. Karen. Hi, Jan, Geraldine. Okay, good. Thank you all. I have seen, okay, I'm scrolling down, so if I've repeated twice. Michelle, Lioness, thank you for being here. Ali Shea is in the house. Laura, thank you. Maureen, need some good juju. It's been a dog vet weekend. Oh, that's so funny, because ours is this week. I hope the babies are okay, Maureen. We'll definitely hate when that goes on. Likelihood of a stranger taking your advice, 5%. Family, 0. That's true, Karen. The stranger, however, feels empowered to realize their options. The family member just gets pissed off and does the opposite. It's so true. I stand in my position. I know what I know. This is Geraldine, and I'm going to make it regardless. I have had to change and reroute myself and do it again. God help me remember this. Good for you, Geraldine. Lynn, love the conversation about judgment and bringing in the observer. I have done my best to accept and embrace my judgment. I also do my best to notice being in neutral witness and not beat myself up. I love that too. When we judge others, we are probably judging ourselves most harshly. Lynn, it's so true. How can we when we lash out, there is an unconscious thing here going on. I want you to hear this. You see it in religions. It's sort of when a religion picks on another religion or picks on somebody who isn't part of their religion. It's a veiled way of saying, I chose right. And look, God, look how sinful they are. I chose right. But they have to convince themselves, because if you chose right and you're in where you need to be, you don't have to sell anybody. If you're at peace with where you are in life, there's no cajoling or proselytizing your beliefs to somebody else, because you're in them, you're okay. And so when we're judging another, the reason we're doing when it's a harsh criticism of somebody else, there is a part of us that so doesn't want to know how that part of us, where that part of us is and within us. That's how we can see it. We can see it in another person because it's being filtered through our own, what we have ism. Laura, so funny, Mark. We tried the bear and gave up after the second episode. I know, me too. Literally, Laura, I started it and I was like, and then it kind of like if you can push through, it changes. And then there's this insane acting that comes through, and it does get off to this. I don't know these people. I don't like these people. I don't want to be a part. But then the story sort of unfolds in a backwards way, tells you why all those behaviors took what they did. Especially the last 4 episodes of season 2 just will blow your mind. So if you can stay with it, feel free. You can even skip around a little, but there is some magic that does happen in it. Anyway, Nadine, all rings true. I have 3 planets conjunct at the midheaven in Libra: Moon, Saturn, and Neptune. Always both sides. Any decision is impossible at times. See, you guys, especially those of you that are carrying a Libra moon, and if Neptune near your sun also brings in this sort of like, it's using the mind to discern all these feelings and all these things you get. It's using the mind, because that's what Libra is, a ruler of the mind, right? It's air. So what we want to do during the Libra cycle is we do appreciate fairness. We love objectivity. We want it, but you don't want to ever lie to yourself that you're not choosing this because it serves you. Remember, Paris knew he was going to die, so he just took the goddess that was going to promise him what he wanted. And so you definitely have to look at your motive, and you have to understand you have one. Don't be embarrassed by it. You don't have to share it. But one of the things we do is just sort of, that's why, listen, if we catch our critic in action, we'll be a lot more likely to tell ourselves the truth, knowing that we have a promise. We signed a note to ourselves not to go into crazy about this. Like, let me look at this myself and see. Now, you're probably not going to be able to see that you have motive. It's definitely hard to see motive in there. And then there's those of you that just think you're full of motive and you're, full of other stuff too. And you're so willing to criticize yourself. This isn't about any of that. This is about being able just to objectively as possible stay centered while you look at what you've been doing and promise not to attack it when you see it. Like, it's okay to have a great insight about, I didn't know I was doing that. And then we flood the guilt because we're taught to punish bad behavior. We're taught to punish things if we see it in ourselves, if we see it in others. And so this vicious attack that we might do to other people is sometimes this avoidance of our own. It's like a way to get it off of ourselves. So it's important to really just observe. It'll all there's no real rule, but it will all come together as long as you can continually say, wait a minute, I have a place I can go for safety because I'm going down a rabbit hole here. And that's the big thing, avoiding the rabbit holes. And also being willing to see some of the choices you're making in life and say, I don't know why I'm making it, but I know I'm making this. I'm not sure exactly why, so I'm going to go through with it. And I promise whatever happens on the other end, I'll stand beside what I did. It takes a lot of drama out of life to be able to hold that place. Now, not only are we today a Scorpio moon, so if you have a Scorpio rising and you have any Scorpio sun, wherever Scorpio is in your chart, but typically if you have a Scorpio rising, you're coming out of that moon in Libra phase where things felt a little weird because when the moon passes through that 12th house, it can get weird. So wherever Scorpio is in your chart, that part's getting illuminated a little bit. There's a fearless willingness to look directly at things in that Scorpio moon. And you have to remember that you're coming out, right? What are you coming out of? A Libra moon, and you're going into a Scorpio moon. So now you might feel better about looking at things more directly and more honestly. Day after tomorrow, you may not. So see, it's not like I'm a failure, I can't do this anymore. It's like today I feel like I can do it. And if we can day to day just look at how you're feeling. Is this a good day for me to be introspective? Is this a good day for me to take a look at some of what I'm doing? Or is this a day I should stay away from that and let's externally focus on some happy things that we could do in the world? That might be the better choice. But don't see that judgment. We want to summarize. We want to let it mean something. We want to wrap everything up in this neat package and go, I'm a terrible person. I'm a good person. I am weak. I am strong. That's judgment. Okay. It's a summary judgment. You're putting it all together in a little neat package. It's sort of insulting to yourself, but you can do it by, take it from a Cancer. You can do it by mood. Today's a good day for me to do that. Tomorrow isn't. May not be, I should say. Yesterday wasn't, right? So that's another trick. This is the Scorpio moon. How are you feeling? You feeling strong? You feeling powerful? You're feeling capable of facing some things that you normally don't face? That's going to be the story for many of us. Let's go after it then. And then, you know what's funny about texting? Because I remember I got contacted. This is in the early days when texting started. Before it became a big deal, I was putting horoscopes up from Russell Grant. Maybe you all remember Russell Grant. And I got a letter from them in England saying, look, we're trying to get the America people, they don't like texting. And we're trying to get them into texting because we want to text these horoscopes. And so it was this whole thing, and they wanted me to put an ad on my website, blah, blah, blah. But the point of the story is I remember when they said texting isn't catching on in the US. We'll look now. And there is a thing about texting, I get it for young people, and I know a few young people who I also text with who abhor the telephone. For them, it feels they have to be on the spot. They have to come up with an answer right away. They have to know how to respond. It's quicker. With texting, you can basically ignore the other person if you want. You can sort of like take your time and think about erase your answer. Now you can edit your answer with an iPhone. You can unsend your thing that you sent within a certain amount of time. So, but you get to think about it is the point. And so I remember I'll have a dialogue with some of my adult friends who were texting, and you can tell when you hit a moment where it's like, I don't want to answer that, and you can walk away. So that's a great example of doing that with yourself in a mood you're in a way that it's like, I'm in the mood. I'm not in the mood. Today's a good day for that. Tomorrow won't be, or we don't know about tomorrow, but staying present with, do I want to? And the texting is a great example. Now we have an experience with that. It's like texting ourselves. And so, seeing, I don't want to look at that today. Like in creative writing, trying to do my cards, I'm like, Sunday, I will do them. I can do it. I'll be free. It's like perfect. And Sunday came and I was like, oh my God, I have an insatiable appetite and I want to watch TV. Oh, great. So, right. We got to be in the flow. That's all. That whole dialogue was about being in the flow. Okay, let's take a look real quick at the week ahead. And you guys have been great. I know it feels like I just came out of myself of an intense retrograde. Now, I did want to say that the retrograde, no question, was intense. I thought both of them combined. Under them, there was a lot that went wrong. We had a lot of stuff with the site that we were taking code and changing it and trying to, make sure everything was working. And we discovered so many things that we needed to clean up. It was so great, honestly, but it wasn't great in the process. It looked like a lot of work, a lot of unnecessary work, a lot of mistakes, And so that's my version of going through the retrograde. I have other people who had a ton of health things going on and were just terrified. And in fact, during the retrograde, had to take a friend to have an emergency tooth extraction. Now, do you think it's like you look at the chart and go, well, it's a retrograde, we don't want to do that? That's horrifying. And guess what? Everything worked out amazing. So I'm really always going to harp on you about taking the fear out of the retrograde moment, and those moments, but to mostly to be able to look back and go, wow, that was amazing. And since Mercury rules the mind, you don't want to just empower the mind to look at how crappy it was all the time. You want to be able to say, this is the gifts I got from that. And we got so much accomplished and uncovered. And yeah, like you want to dwell on that it was painful to go through. I can dwell on that, but we got a lot uncovered. We fixed a lot of crap. It was great. In fact, speaking of, the app I want you all to download, we have an app called 12radio.com app, and it broke. And I don't build those. We hire people to build them. Great company. And they couldn't find it. I said, it's not working. It turns white when you open it. And during the retrograde, right, this was all going on. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what to. It's so frustrating because you go to the mechanic and it's working. And then they see it, so it's not working. I record it on my phone. I take a recording. I send it. And they went, OMG, this is so helpful. I think we figured it out. And they said this week they will put a new update to the app to fix that problem. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, you can. If it doesn't work on you periodically, it will eventually. Like this week, hopefully we'll have the update because she said we found the problem, which is the best words you could hear. All of that under a retrograde. But when you first discover the problem, it's so frustrating. Where do I go? What do I do? I can't even tell you the weird problems that were happening with my computer. And the first onset is like, I don't want to spend hours on tech support. I don't want to go through this. And then you end up finding something even better that happened, something that could have been a horrible problem because you weren't willing to take care of it. And it was great. So a lot of things got fixed. But anyway, let's take a quick look ahead, see if we have anything to reimagine that we need to look at. And I'm going to take one last shot at the chat room and see how you guys are doing. Lynn is saying, I'm learning so much when you share mythology. I'm intrigued to do more research on my Venus and North Node in Libra. Yes. And Lynn, if anyone can, a Scorpio that you are, you will. And it's great. It's good stuff. Liz Green is my hero. And many of you already know about her, but it's Green with an E at the end. And great stuff to read. Okay, Libra Sun, Gemini Rising, Cap Moon. Oh, it can be so hard to say no. That Capricorn Moon, I'm telling you, I've said this before, everybody should have a Capricorn Moon in their life because it is nice that you guys have a hard time saying no because you do like being useful and purposeful, and I get it. And the Libra Sun and Gemini, it's like, it's not so much where your gift will be, Maureen, is in being able to tell the truth. And it may not be no, but it could be, here's what I'm struggling with. And just saying what the problem is straight up. Like, this is what the dilemma is that I'm struggling with. And if it comes out that, so I guess in conclusion, no, because the truth, getting to the truth of what you want to do is a process of talking about it, is expressing it, starting with, I don't want to do that, to, okay, let's take a look. All right. So don't forget about the Power Peak, markhusson.com or markspowerpeak.com. The password this week is autumn, all lowercase. And when you go in and let's look at what's up and coming, what we're seeing ahead is the Scorpio moon is eventually going to get into Aquarius. That should be this Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we're going to start seeing the Capricorn energy coming for the weekend. Now, if the Capricorn energy is hitting on let me see. Sag energy this week. Sorry, you guys. I'm looking at the future chart of the equinox, and I went ahead from that. So today's Scorpio moon, we go in after Scorpio is Sag. So that'll be a Sag moon for 3 days. That's really fun. And then we have the Capricorn weekend. So the next show should probably be under another fixed moon like today was, which will be Aquarius. And so hopefully we see the difference in tone. You all can sort of compare the tone of those moons as we go through, because it's fun to see how that moon shapes everything. So we know the evolution. We're in the Scorpio, Sag, and Capricorn is like the end of autumn, beginning of winter, right? So that's where we are now. We're still in line with what the planets are doing. The moon is telling us this week will feel like autumn, transitioning into winter. Okay, so that just means the issues under these moons tend to be a little richer, a little deeper, a little more complex. Okay, they're not just like, oh, I'm going to go clean. It's more like I'm going to clean and contemplate my Buddhism life or something like that. Okay. Notice that the sun will enter Libra, eventually connecting to Mars. So we're inching closer to Mars, which is going to be more energy. So those of you that are sort of riddled with a little bit of sluggishness, a lot of that has to do with this cycle of Earth. There's a lot of Earth in the air right now. Especially with that Mercury coming out of the Mercury retrograde. So let's use that Mercury in Virgo to do some cleaning up in our minds, cleaning up in the house. Venus is going to join us there in Virgo, but we have a while. Venus is in Leo for a while, for this little bit. So take care of yourself. Be prideful. Buy some new clothes. Get your hair done. Do whatever feels good to bring you into this feeling of like uplift. Because it's funny to have Venus in Leo and Mercury in Virgo, because you got one criticizing the other. And I want you to uplift both if you can. Okay. Jupiter and Uranus are going to be playing tag here. It's going to be an amazing conjunction when that happens. They're both retrograde right now. I wanted to talk to you about retrograde planets in your chart. We'll do that very soon. And then the Saturn in Pisces. Now, Pisces people, Mary Jean, I think of you and all my Pisces friends. As Saturn gets into Pisces, what we're seeing is this sort of like seriousness occur, this sense of boundary occur. It's the most refreshing thing in the world to have Saturn in your sign when you're a Pisces. It can be hard because it feels like your options are limiting, are closing in on you, but it can be great because that's exactly what needs to happen. I think you guys get your energies way involved in deeply in many, many things, and you've lost the center core, and Saturn is sort of saying, I'm coming to help. Don't worry, because Neptune's been helping in that dissolution of yourself, and Saturn's coming back and saying, let's put it back together. So basically, that's the week ahead. We have, don't forget to just check out the dailies on the Power Peak. I'm going to hit refresh one last time. We're going to see how you guys are doing overall. We are going to have a sale Saturday at 12listen.com, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because of the change of seasons and the change of the equinox. We also, one thing I wanted to share, we have Kelly McLean from 12listen and Jay. Kelly's come up with a plan. I wanted to have some fun with you guys on Halloween. So I invited Kelly to come up with a director's script of what we could do to play on Halloween. And you should see what the woman came up with. And it's going to be the week before Halloween, or maybe a few days before Halloween, but we're going to have shows. We're going to get people to special shows. It's going to be all day long fun. I'm so excited to share it with you. But it just started a couple days ago. Kelly agreed to be the creative mind behind it. She has a brilliant mind. If you remember, Kelly used to have a radio show. She writes Bitch Scopes, and you can take it up with her if you don't like the name of them. But she does write them. She does bring comedy and humanity into everything she does. Definitely fearless, which I love fearless, and I respect the hell out of Kelly. So thank you again. And Jay, thanks so much for being here. Jay is just so important in terms of you feel safe knowing Jay's there. And Jay, thanks for all you do. And he also is a powerhouse reader at 12listen, which we'll be having the normal sales this week. So you guys, it's much love to all of you. Keep your spirits up. We are coming out of a lot of energy. So this week does look kind of crazy good. And I can't wait to talk to you next week on the other end of this week, because it feels like we're sort of dragging out of the molasses. But I have faith in you, and I know you have a tremendous faith in me and everything that you're doing in your life. So thanks for being a part of the 1-2 family. Please stay tuned for the amazing Christina LaFrance, followed by Lori Love. This is Mark Husson, and this has been Mark Husson's Astrology Hour.